All right, here's the coach. Brian Dutcher joining us live, Mark and Rich Show. Coach, thanks so much for doing it. Love having you on. What's your reaction? Duke, huh? You could take those guys, right?
Well, we thought we'd soften the schedule up a little bit this year, so we added Duke and the Maui to try to get us off to a good start.
Yeah, but I was just saying, I think this is such an opportunity for a team like you and a team that's in your situation, because so many of us here are rooting for the Mountain West to be a 2 or a 3 bid league again. And games like this early really present that opportunity, don't you think?
They make a huge difference. And we wanted to play Duke. Obviously, we'd have loved to play them in the finals, but we wanted an opportunity to play one of the Blue Bloods, and that's Duke. And so we're excited for the opportunity to go out to Maui early in the year and kind of see where our team's at.
You know, you've taken on Duke a couple of times while at San Diego State, and I want to say the other 2 times you played them, they might have been number 1 in America. The last time in the NCAA tournament when they beat you guys, Trey Kell and Malik Pope was on that team. Then back in the early 2000s, I think you guys went to Cameron Indoor. What about this team you're going to see? It's hard to prepare for some of these teams and Blue Bloods in America, right? Because a lot of their players are going to be some of the top freshmen in America that you're going to be preparing for.
Yeah, they'll have 3 or 4 freshmen in the starting lineup, and I think that's a good thing for us early. You know, this Duke team will obviously get better as the year goes on. I know they're taking a foreign tour to Canada to try to get some games under their belt with such a young team. But obviously they're going to be probably not as strong in November as they are in March. So it's a good opportunity for us to play them early and kind of see where we're at.
So this will be on November 19th. You'll take on Duke. And then right after that, depending on what happens, you'll have a game against either Auburn or Xavier. And then there are a bunch of different options beyond that, Arizona and Gonzaga among the teams on the other side of the bracket. Realistically, Coach, when you look at your roster and where it is in its evolution for this year, what are your chances to make noise in a group like that?
You know, whenever you go to one of these accepted events, you want to win it, but your second greatest hope is you go 2-1. So we're going there to try to win the thing, and if we don't, we're going to try to go 2-1 with a winning record out of that field. Now, I know it's easy to say and tough to do because the field is probably as strong a tournament as we've ever seen. But I like the fact that we'll have senior guards in Jeremy Hemsley and Devin Watson. We'll have Jalen McDaniels, Matt Mitchell, Nolan Arain, Jordan Shackle, guys with some experience under their belts. And then, obviously, we'll have 5 freshmen to throw in there as well. So we have experience, and then it'll be a test for our young guys to get their first real tough game experience under their belt.
Will this be the most challenging non-conference schedule you'll put together? I know it hasn't fully been announced, but you've announced BYU. You know these 3 very difficult games in Maui. Where do you feel like this challenge will put you when you prepare to get your team into the NCAA tournament, win or not, come Mountain West tournament time?
Yeah, I think it's a really challenging non-conference schedule, and obviously highlighted by the Maui Classic. We have road games at Cal. We have BYU coming back in. And going to Illinois State, I've talked to a lot of coaches on the road recruiting, and they think they're going to have their best team they've had since their coach has been there. So we're going to be challenged in the non-conference, and it will get us ready, obviously, for another challenging Mountain West season with Nevada returning everybody.
Dutch, you mentioned one of your top players, Jalen McDaniels. We know he took the whole NBA draft thought process right up to the buzzer, but he'll be back. I wonder, though, is there sort of kind of an emotional coaching job that you have had to do and will continue to do with him as he went through that, realization process? Where does that evolution stand for him right now?
You know, I just think it serves as motivation to get back in the gym and get better, and not only for himself but for his team. And we've got the whole team in summer school now. We're allowed to work them out a couple of times a week, and we've been on the floor with this year's team, and I'm very encouraged what I'm seeing from Jalen. And moving forward, I think he's going to be a real integral piece to what we do this year.
Coach, what do you make of the saga that kind of has come to an end involving Kawhi, the trade to Toronto? How do you think – I know your job is spent concentrating on the Aztecs on the floor and preparing your team for the season ahead, but what do you think about the fit potentially for Kawhi north of the border in Toronto?
Well, I think he'll be the beast of the East. I mean, he'll be the best player in the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, and so Kawhi will go to Toronto and do what Kawhi does. He'll help his team win. He'll be all about winning and playing hard, and I think he'll make a huge difference for Toronto this year.
I wonder what you think, Coach, as far as his fit. And I don't even necessarily mean the roster or whatever, but, the city of Toronto, Kawhi is a quiet guy. He doesn't want a whole lot of attention. So people are looking at this going, hey, being a LeBron teammate brings a lot of attention, but LeBron gets to be a team spokesman. Or look at Toronto. You're not even in this country. That kind of limits attention. Are these kinds of places good fits for him, you think?
I think Kawhi's most comfortable when he's on the basketball court, and he'll be out there 100 and some times next year, hopefully for the Raptors. And so all the public opinion stuff and all the social stuff that's out there, I don't think he gets caught up in that. I think he just wants to play basketball, be the best player he can be, and then help his team win championships.
Coach Brian Dutcher, Aztecs with us, Mark and Rich Show. By the way, circling back to this game against Duke, and I know it's one game on a long college basketball schedule, but that's such a big, iconic name, and of course, so that's going to be on the minds of many. What is your history in matching wits with Coach K, and just what are your thoughts on getting to do that?
Well, I've been on the bench for a lot of Duke games as opponents, whether it was the 9 years I spent at Michigan or the 2 times we played him here, obviously playing a second chair to Coach Fisher. But, you learn a lot as you go. They're obviously well coached. They're disciplined. I'm sure Coach K is adjusting to this new day and age of college basketball where he only has these kids for one and done. And I think it's hard on him, but because I know he'd like to have these kids for years, but that's not the nature of the business right now. And so he does a great job of getting all these freshmen as quickly as he can on the same page to play winning basketball. But it's a challenge every year to have to coach 4 or 5 new freshmen in your lineup.
What about, Coach, and correct me if I'm wrong, did you play 3 games in 3 days last year in the one exempt tournament, or was it 3 games in 4 days?
In the Wooden Legacy?
Yeah.
You know what? I think it was 3 games in 3 days at the Legacy.
Okay, so you'll do the same in Maui. I mean, how much of it? What is the challenge in preparing for an opponent that you won't even know who the opponent is until maybe 12 or 18 hours before a game?
It kind of gives you that conference tournament feel. You're going to see that this year in the conference tournament. So I think it's good to have quick turnarounds and see what the concentration level of your team is, your coaching staff, how quickly they can either take a great win or a disappointing loss, put it behind us, and move on to the next game. So I think it's good for the kids. Obviously, they'd always rather play than practice. And so an opportunity to play game after game after game, they'll love it. Now, it'll be a challenge as a coach, but I think the team will obviously be excited to be in such a prestigious field on national television playing such great competition.
Now, Dutch, we buried the biggest question of them all, and so I've saved it for the end, and here it is. Do you need a statistician or a bag carrier, or what? What kind of a role could we play on this trip?
We're going to bring you along somehow. If you want to come, let me know. We'll get you on the plane and get you out there.
So
we need all the help we can get. Maybe you can just heckle Coach K from behind the bench. We might be back.
Consider the request entered, Coach. Just if you just want us to let you know, consider this letting you know. We would love to go to Hawaii with you.
That would be a lot of fun, guys.
Beautiful stuff. Okay, hey, Coach, we're looking forward to it already. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, there it is. Coach Brian Dutcher on the Mark and Rich Show.